Good Thursday, everybody. Meteorologist Blake Matthews here. Here is the very latest information on newly formed tropical depression number 14 just coming in from the National Hurricane Center. Right now we have winds of about 35 miles an hour. Moving to the west at 21. That's a pretty fast clip, and that pressure holding steady at 1,007 millibars. It's a developing system to the south of Cuba and pushing towards the Yucatan Peninsula. So as you take a look here at the cone of uncertainty, you'll see that the Hurricane Center brings us very close to a hurricane here as it pushes just to the south of Cancun, crosses over the Yucatan, obviously a little weaker thanks in part to land interaction, but once it emerges into the Gulf of Mexico, it should regain some strength to a strong tropical storm upon the approach of the northwest Gulf Coast. Now, I want to mention if you are within this cone, whether you're on the far right side or the far left side, statistically speaking, you have the same amount of chance of being impacted by the system as us right here in the middle. I know the first thing you're looking at is that line headed straight to Houston, but again, this cone is going to shift several times over the course of the next couple of days. That's why it's important to keep up to date on the forecast as we go forward through the end of the week and into the coming weekend. Here's a look at the spaghetti plots. A lot of uncertainty here. The spaghetti plots are from central Louisiana all the way down into northern Mexico. So a wide spread here of uncertainty with this particular system. So not only is there uncertainty in regards to where it could go, there's also uncertainty as to how strong it can be, and we'll talk about that coming up in just a second. So here are the three systems actually. We've got a 40% chance of development off the west coast of Africa. We've got tropical depression number 13, likely going to become a tropical storm later on today. Tropical depression number 14, again, just formed this morning out there in the western Caribbean Sea. So this is the one I want to focus on right now as we take a look at the visible satellite. This is what you would see if you were sitting on the space shuttle looking down on the Earth, and you could see a little bit of broad rotation here. So it's not a tight compact storm as of yet, but certainly looking a little better. You see the outflow, the fanning of those clouds there on the northwest side of the storm. So it's certainly becoming a little bit better organized, and that is the reason why that the Hurricane Center went ahead and upgraded this. Now, one thing I want to point out, you'll notice as it pushes into the Gulf of Mexico, what we're looking at here in the bright colors are going to be wind shear. Now, wind shear kind of tears apart hurricanes as they try to develop. But as we move into Tuesday, as it approaches the Texas coast, you'll notice that there's not much wind shear across the Gulf of Mexico, which may lead to some strengthening, and that's why it could be stronger than currently forecast in the Gulf of Mexico. And yes, we are talking about hurricane strength. Now, if the wind shear is a little bit stronger than forecast, then we're talking about maybe the storm being a little bit weaker. So that's why we're going to continue to watch this and see exactly how torn apart this is once it moves across the Yucatan Peninsula. But this is a very flat piece of land here, not a lot of mountains. So the center of circulation, while it will be rugged upon its re-entry into the Gulf of Mexico, should still be somewhat intact. So it will have something to work with as it spins its way through the northwest Gulf of Mexico. And again, it's all going to depend on the amount of shear that we have in the atmosphere, because the waters are certainly plenty warm enough to support a hurricane in the west or northwest Gulf of Mexico. And again, this cone, we're talking about from south of Baton Rouge all the way down close to Brownsville. This is the area that we're going to have to watch very closely. And again, statistically speaking, everybody within that cone has the same amount of chance of being impacted. Now, there's another storm that we're watching, tropical depression number 13. And the reason why I haven't mentioned names is because we don't really know which one is going to get a name first. The next two on the list are Laura and Marco. So this could be either one, depending on what TD number 14 does. But anyway, here it is, a very decent looking system. As you can see, a broad circulation with this one as well, likely going to move to the north of the islands here where we do have a tropical storm watch in effect. But this one expected to become a Category 1 hurricane upon its approach there to South Florida, moving through the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos, and eventually being just to the west of Tampa once we get into Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock. There is a chance that we could have two hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico at the same time. I'm not even sure when the last time that has occurred, but certainly something we're going to watch as well. Now, this one likely could stay more to the east of us, but again, it's a long ways out, and that forecast too is going to change. Here's a look at the spaghetti models once again for TD number 14. And the reason why all these systems are moving to the west the way they are is we have high pressure systems stacked up here across the Atlantic. Now, there was one opening in between those two, but it looks like that one has closed now. So the only path is going to be right through the Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico. And the reason why that is high pressure systems act as kind of a roadblock for tropical systems. They're not able to push through them. They sort of act as like a repellent. So with so much high pressure to the north, these systems are being forced off to the west. and in the general direction of the Caribbean or Gulf of Mexico, and that's why we need to watch these systems closely, especially Tropical Depression number 14. So Houston is in the cone, significant uncertainty in the strength forecast, and you're going to want to check back twice a day. What you need to do now is you need to start reviewing your hurricane plans, your supplies, what you would do in the event of an evacuation, and of course we will continue to keep you updated on the very latest developments on Tropical Depression 14. The hurricane hunters are on their way to investigate this system. We'll bring you that as well coming up today on all the shows, of course. And if anything does change from the National Hurricane Center, we will be the first to let you know.